Well. Well, I did something I've never done before, and shortly you're going to see another vehicle sitting in the same place that my truck is sitting right now, even though it's raining like crazy outside. I bought a vehicle sight unseen. Never done it before. Not sure I could recommend the process because it's been a bit of a headache. You know, you can only judge a vehicle based off of pictures and what someone says about it. So it's supposed to be arriving today, this afternoon, and I'm really excited to see it. But again, the process has been very interesting. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to show you guys. I'm hoping that the rain lets up a little bit before it shows up, so I can get it in its spot and go over it with you guys. So I'll see you guys when the transporter shows up, and we will go from there. Oh yeah, there it is. Actually looks pretty good. Pretty damn good. Let me work on getting it off of this guy and catch back up with you. Well, here it is in the driveway. 1970 C10 with a small block, and it's an original air truck. That's a green fender, so this has been painted, and that doesn't surprise me because there's been some Bondo on this hood. Not the end of the world. Truck definitely looks to be yellow for the most part. They painted the master cylinder sometime for some reason. I wonder if there's more green. There is. Oh boy. So that cow's green. I mean, let's see here. Is there any way I can pull the carpet back? Carpet shows back. Shows yellow. That's good. Alright, so seats vinyl. Seems to be in decent shape. It needs to be clean, obviously. I'm having trouble getting the glove box door open so we can look at the SPID card, but we'll do that here in a minute. Driver's side is straight, very straight, so that's awesome. It's kind of got some ugly wheels on it, but we'll fix that. It took me a little bit to get the hood open. The grill's a little out of shape, so we're going to be looking for a grill. This side's been rubbed down or something. I'm not exactly sure what happened here. So door is real sticky. Looks like there's a little bit of rust on the rocker, but not too bad. Oh yeah, there's some more down here. Yeah, so the other rocker looks pretty good. This one is gone. Overall not bad. I think it has a ton of potential. So I'm gonna keep looking over it, see if I can get the glove box door open so we can check out the SPID. Yeah, so let me get back to it. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I sprayed some of this like clean lubricant protect from Lucas on it. Pressed the button a couple times and it works like a dream now. So this is the SPID that I was talking about, SPID, Service Parts Identification. And I'm just kind of looking over it, seeing all the options on it. 350, power steering, rear springs, gauge kit, white and yellow, so that's the original color of the truck, which is fantastic. Gold custom cloth trim, which is I think this is gold custom cloth trim. Air conditioning, 373 ratio axle, that's cool. Had wheel covers at some point in time. Had a radio, radio's gone. So that's awesome. That's a good start. It's a good start identifying this. I'm going to leave this sucker open just in case it decides to not want to work anymore. And it smells like old varnish gash in here, so I think this tank is definitely bad. But underneath the truck looks pretty solid. There's definitely some issues on this side. This fender's not original. I believe it's been repainted with the green stuff coming out. The door looks okay. I'm not too concerned about that. That's the latch needs to be tightened. It's going to need some work, especially on this side. This rocker's bad. But a lot of this, even dull and crappy looking right now, it's going to come out and it's going to shine like a dream. Same thing with the white. And that's interesting. Yeah, I think this is more of a sign that this fender's been repainted. More green there. So this fender's been done. I wonder if it got hit on this side. This hood's not great either, so I'm gonna try to find a yellow hood if I can. They just put this new radiator in. It doesn't look like it's fully connected, so there's no lower radiator hose on it. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, it needs to be replaced though. So I've got a few things to do to try to get this thing to run, so I can at least move it around. So I've got to get some pulleys on it. The guy said the AC works. That's something we're gonna find out. I'm gonna work on it to see if we can get it running and driving, and put a jerry jug right here because apparently the gas tank is bad. So we're on to something. I'm just learning more and more about it. So super stoked, super stoked. Well, I think I've taken it all in as much as I can. Let me show you some stuff that I found. Obviously no belts, so I'm gonna have to do that. It's an original power steering truck, so that's good. They've put a HEI and a Holley double pumper on it. You can tell it's a double pumper because it has an accelerator diaphragm here and back there. Don't know if it needs all that, especially with the exhaust manifolds. Also, it's been decked, the block has, so this motor's been rebuilt at least, and the identifying suffix and stuff like that is not on there. So I cannot tell if this truck has the original motor in it or not. but it has ran recently, which is good. It looks like that's a somewhat new water pump. So I will I'm gonna go order belts and hoses tomorrow. And that's the first thing I'm gonna do is put some belts and hoses on it. I'm gonna get some fuel line that goes to the fuel pump there and put a jerry jug over here so I can start the truck and move it around the house. Because to me, that's the most important thing, is being able to move your project easily. Because if you can't move it, then you just get tired of it. It's in the way, and you wind up selling it. Maybe not when you're ready to sell it. So that's tomorrow. So we'll get right back at you when we get started on that. Well, the weather actually cleared up a little bit and got better than expected. So I think I'm gonna get to replacing these belts. They actually had them at the parts store. So I'm gonna get that done, and then we can go from there. So let me throw these suckers on. Well, usually you don't have to take the valve cover off to tighten the get the alternator built on, but it did. But that's okay, there's still room with it tight, so not a big deal. These might be taller than normal. Power steering belt, there's a bolt on the very bottom that's kind of the pivot, like, you know, where it'll pivot, and then there's the bolts back here. And see if I can point to it with the wrench. This one right here. I had to move this a little bit with the pry bar because it was in the way, but then I was able to get a 9/16 wrench on it. There's a slot in here for it to slide on. So loosen the bottom bolt up, loosen this one up, and then it'll go that way. Put your belt on, pull everything back, tighten it up. Not too bad, not too bad. Getting to a place where we might be able to, I gotta throw some more fuel line on for the jerry jug, and kind of go from there. Not too far away. I'm gonna keep at it. Seriously doubt there's water in the radiator. Yeah, there's nothing in there. It's a brand new radiator, which is a good brand new radiator. I've got to put a ground on it because this ground was in the wrong location. Didn't think they were wanting the ground bolt. And a few more things. So let me keep after it, and then I'll give you an update when we're about ready to start it. Well, I think it's about go time. Let me give you guys updated. So, alternator water pump belt on, power steering pump belt on. AC is not hooked up, so I think there's more brackets in the back of the truck that has to do with that. I replaced the ground for now. I know it's red. It's not permanent, but this one just wasn't going to cut it. I need to look into more of that. There's a lot of wiring that's going to have to be fixed. But we are boring the Sonoma GT's battery. Jerry jug over here in the corner. Fits pretty well, actually. Fuel line going all the way down to the fuel pump. The only thing I have left to do is try to put the return spring back on somehow, because there isn't one. So I will work with that here in a minute, and then we'll try to start it. Alright, so I'm having some interesting difficulties getting this thing to run. Oh damn, I lost a clip. One thing I did was I bent the throttle cable, or rod, not cable, in a couple different places, and I'm also going to put it in the motor in a different place because it doesn't have enough length there to do anything. So I'm thinking that that's going to be a better geometry there. Let me see if I can find that clip down there. I got lucky and found the clip. Well, that's very temporary, but it should kind of do the job for now. Same thing with this throttle return spring. All right, let's see if it'll work a little better now. Feels better. Well, here's my verdict. That carburetor's trash. It should not be this hard to start it even cold. It won't respond to any throttle. It's that thing needs to be gone through or gotten rid of. So tomorrow, just for testing purposes, I'm gonna go get the Bel Air carburetor, throw it on here, see if it works, which I'm pretty sure it's going to. And if it does, then I'll make a decision to either rebuild this one or sell it and buy a different one. I'd rather have a vacuum secondary on this thing anyway. It's not a race car in any way, shape, or form. Does not need a double pumper in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that thing ain't it's not running for nothing. Flames and stuff are cool on a two-step and not coming out of these old carburetors. So I'll see y'all in the morning. Well, good morning. I rolled out to the storage shed and pulled the carburetor off the Bel Air so I can test it on the C10. Which, by the way, we need a name for this thing. So, you know, if you have an idea of a name, put it in the comments, and yeah, we'll mail it over. So, one thing I had an epiphany on last night is this is that double pumper carburetor that's rebuilt. I just rebuilt the carburetor. It runs great. That's what I was told. Obviously, it does not run great, and I don't know what kind of rebuild carburetor is, but one thing that I can definitely point out is this is a dual pumper carburetor. You see the two accelerator squares, which means it's also a dual feed carburetor, and we don't even have a fuel line going into the back bowl of the carburetor. I don't really even have words. Once I figured that out, I'm like, that might be half of our problem. I don't know. This thing, I'm not going to say it's junk because it possibly has some potential to be rebuilt and be good for something. You see dual squares there too, but not for this truck, and obviously not in this condition. This thing's a pile. So we'll see if we can fix it, maybe rebuild it, save some money. Anyway, we'll see. So I'm going to throw the 600 that's off of the Bel Air on it and see if we can't get it running. And on a Vacuum Advance, on the Holly, this is the reference port that's referenced based off of throttle input and whatnot. This one down here is not. That's why it's plugged off. They had it backwards on that other carburetor. Well, okay, we're pretty much done. Gotta get the jerry can and we'll see if it fires. Alright. If the timing is anywhere close, this should fire up and be good to go. So, let's try it again with a good carburetor. Did I tighten it down? I did. Just double checking. I don't see any other vacuum lines. I think we're good. Well, that's a good sign. Just checking for leaks. It's amazing when a good carburetor is on something, because the other one was rebuilt. I think it has a dead hole on this side. It probably needs wires, cap and rotor. I may not replace the coil, but that seems to be okay. Definitely got an exhaust leak down here somewhere. It does show it has oil pressure, so this goes up when it starts. I have no idea if this coolant temp gauge is going to work. I'm going to say probably not. I'm curious to see if any of the lights work. They weren't last night. Well, this is a good sign. It does have power steering. Alright. Yeah, you see that? That's not supposed to do that. So, but I got new radiator hoses. I've got new heater hoses, and I'm going to replace the thermostat anyway. But like I said, with a good carburetor, it should run fine, and it did. Plugs and wires, cap and rotor, and then I'll check the timing. But it does run. Power steering works. There's that. I'm just gonna have to get it, either buy a new carburetor or try to rebuild the old one. I'm leaning on buying a new carburetor because I like the vacuum secondary on a truck like this, which is going to be a driver. But hey, it runs. It runs. It needs to be un-effed, because there's just a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff in here. This wiring is a disaster, but that stuff I can take on. It's time consuming, but it's pretty rewarding when you get it all done. This is an old school, I think this is an external regulated alternator. I'm not 100% sure. It does have a ground wire on it, which makes me believe that that's true. It needs battery cables, and just, yeah, I need to go through the wiring and see if that switch is getting power for the lights or not. But a little bit at a time. So part one is done. One of the big things that I really like to do with something like this is just work on getting it running first, because if it runs and moves and stops, it's not a bear to work on. You don't have to push it anywhere. You don't have it torn down to where it's not usable. We don't have to, you know, move it. Like eventually I'm gonna move this to my backyard, so it's out of the way of the driveway, and I can start working on buffing out the paint and pulling the tank out and cleaning the interior. But I'm not gonna do all that here in the driveway because the truck's gonna be in the way, no way to move it. If I need to get the Sonoma out, you can't. So kind of like David Freiberger says, he says, you know, you don't have to get it right, just get it running. I totally agree with that, because everything else when a vehicle's running and driving and moving is so much easier. So I can work on the wiring and everything else, you know, as I need to now, because I know that I can throw this carburetor on it for a little while, move it around the yard, and be good to go. I would move it in the backyard today, but we've had some torrential downpours that has left the yard a little soggy, so we're not doing that. But hope you guys like it. It's the new C10 projects. Still need a name. Come up with a name, leave it in the comments, and let us know what you think about it. So anyways, I appreciate you guys coming along. You guys always know the deal. Until next time, y'all be good.